Negative space. You can see on the right here on the first slide, the negative space around my word, negative space. So one way to make sure your composition is strong, pay attention to the negative space and the positive space. So positive space is your subject, and the negative space is everything else around it. A lot of times people don't pay attention to the negative space around, and you'll see somebody standing there and just in behind there's something poking out of their head, or there's too much stuff in the background. You might have someone doing something weird in the back, like a photobomb, I guess. That is your negative space. So the negative space is nothing. It's the nothing. It's the stuff that you don't really care about. But it gives balance in your photograph, and it gives a place for your eye to rest. If something is too cluttered, people aren't going to look at it. They just keep going. But if there's a lot of nothing around it, your subject is really going to stand out, and it's going to make your composition a lot stronger. So don't think about filling your photograph with everything. The space around it is just as important. And again, this is the same for video. You've got to be careful to make sure that you always look at your backgrounds, because what we see in 3D, when you look through a camera, you're only seeing 2D. So everything in your background is going to appear on the same level with your foreground, which can sometimes make it hard to distinguish between the subject and the background. Okay, like this dude right here. The background is very plain, looks kind of like your school pictures, right? And that makes the subject stand out. Okay, this seagull, it's very clear what your subject is. There's water, there's all kinds of stuff in the background, but it's so uniform that you don't really notice it. And building on what we had before, do you notice the bird is placed on the rule of thirds? And if you look at the slope of the rock and the slope of his back and the slope of the bird's head, I can see a diagonal line running through this photo too. Okay, same thing here. Negative space, the little spring is on the third. Footprint, it just adds so much more to your picture. If you had a bunch of sticks and debris or even someone else's foot in there, your composition wouldn't be as strong. It really makes you focus on what the subject is. So negative space, a large area that is empty, no detail in it. Okay, less is more, and that's going to make your subject stand out. Look at this flower. All right, the background is really busy, but what the person did was put it on a slow shutter and spun, held the flower in front of them, and then they moved. So then everything in the background blurred out. You're going to learn how to do that later. That's called panning. Positive space, that's your subject. Okay, on the next slide, you're going to see a little groundhog. He's the subject, and everything else around him is the nothing. Your assignment, find positive and negative spaces. What you're going to try to do is define your subject so that there's a negative space around him. Yeah, a lot of times people in class, you could take a picture of a Lego man on the wall, empty wall. That is going to give you that negative space. And I want you to submit your best 3 pictures. Take a bunch of them so that you can choose your best 3. Okay, good luck. Have fun with this.